reminds me very much of Erongaricuaro, Michoacan, where I lived for 5 years of my life. And the first time I ever saw that town, I came at night. I arrived on a bus, a very long bus ride from Mexico City, with my dancer, beautiful friend Fabiola, and my then boyfriend, now husband, Steve. And we walked through the town, the cobbled streets, and we said buenas noches to the first person who passed by, and he had a gun, slung over his shoulder. And people were kind of clearing up, and very few people, starry, starry sky, less and less lights as you get out to the end of the town. And then we get to our wooden door, open it up, and in the darkness, she just says, out there in the star field is the outhouse, and to the left is the kitchen, and to the right is the bedroom, and this kind of corridor here is where we eat, and we sleep in the hammock, and we hang out, and we wash our stuff, and everything. Well, she was passing over the keys to that place to us, $5 a month. That was our rent. And she told us, in the morning you can get your fresh milk right across the street. Go early. They only have 2 cows. You can get tortillas. You can hear when she's making it. And you just call across the wall, Doña Luisa, and she'll say, sí, ¿qué quieres? And and then she said, I'm taking off tomorrow. Have a great time. So we headed out. The next morning, I looked around through the kitchen. I'm like, okay, what am I going to put the milk in? I'm going to go buy some fresh milk. And I find something, and I grab it, and I said, this is perfect. I go out, and I stand in line, and there's only about 3 or 4 women, and, they have their rebosos on, and they have their embroidered aprons on, and everyone's very formal. They look at me, and they immediately turn their backs. And I, say, well, they're not very friendly. I stand in line, and then when I get up there, the farmer's wife looks at me, and she says, well, what do you want? ¿Qué quieres? And I said, leche, por favor, un litro, And she said, well, do you have anything to put it in? And I'm like, yeah. And she says, well, do you want me to put it in that? I'm like, yeah. Could you put it in that? So she puts the liter in there, and I said, gosh, these women are not very friendly. I go home, boil up the milk. We have milk every day. I do the same thing. I go out to buy milk, stand in the line. I'm standing there. And every day she asks me, do you have something to put it in? And every day I say, yeah. Could you put it in this? And I start to get really annoyed with her, and I start to feel like, these women are kind of, tough to deal with. So my friend comes on the weekend, and she's like, oh, how have you been? And I was like, great, except, wow, your neighbors are really tough. They're not very friendly. She said, they're great. They're, Doña Luisa and Doña Carmen. They're going to become your best friends. And I'm like, well, they hardly talk to me when I go buy milk, And she's like, oh, well, I don't know. So we hang out, and the evening comes, and she says, where's my chamber pot? And I'm like, what's that? And she's like, the chamber pot, who's going to walk out to the outhouse in the middle of the night? I'm like, well, we just like the field with the stars in it, And she's like, oh, here it is. And of course, the chamber pot was what I'd been putting milk in all week. And everybody was so nice to the gringa, they could not tell her, gringa, ¿qué estás pensando? Estás completamente loca, They couldn't tell me. And those women did become my best friends. They did. They found out, how when we got married, they said, we'll provide the pig's head. We'll provide the hominy. They made the kitchen out in the backyard. We had a big, and when my father died, they brought me flowers. Those women continue to be my best friends to this day.